This week in the podcast, we're joined by the one and only Grant Kirkhope to discuss his legendary music, creative process and legacy in gaming. We also discuss our journey so far with Death Stranding 2, and on this week's Pixel Pick Showdown, we need to stay on the beat as we crown the best rhythm game. All this and more on this week's Pixel Parents Podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode in a new era of the Pixel Parents Podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. What is this new era, I hear our listeners and viewers ask? Well, we're now in video, so you can now listen and see your old dads every Friday on YouTube as well as Spotify in video format. So please subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not there already so you don't miss our mugs each and every week. Now, I am your host, Liam Kirkhope. Today I'm, of course, joined by the bearded one, Scott, the Tastemaker Curry. How are we, Scott?
That would be me. Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you very much. I realise now I have to, portray myself well because I'm now online and people can see this shiny head, but...
dome.
This gorgeous, shiny dome. But I'm actually alright, to be honest with you. I've not had much sleep in the last week or so, which... we'll definitely get to, but it's been a very exciting week. As we've said in the intro, it's been a very exciting week.
Indeed.
And I had something to say, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh, that was what it was. Is that you mentioned it's a new era, and we have to come up with like a catchy. You said video era because obviously WWE had the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression, and now the Netflix era. So we have to come up with some stupid name for ourselves.
I don't know, the mug era, the ruthlessly average era, I don't know what you want to call it. Listen, comments please, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure, Scott, you'll be cooking something up. You've got to the end of this episode to officially dub it that. You know what I mean?
Forget. You know what I'm like. I've forgotten, the question that I've asked, so I'll come back to you.
I'd say this is probably a new generation. It's not quite Attitude yet. It's getting there, though.
We're getting there.
Give it a year and we'll start doing some more explicit content.
God. Explicit content? Launching an OnlyFans?
Desperate YouTube content, really, that's what we'll start doing. Just like first 2 minutes of the episode, just start dunking custard on your head or something like that just to get the viewers. You know what I mean?
God.
Or we just start to get thumbnails of us looking really shocked with wide eyes.
Oh, man. It's an era that I'm not ready for.
Neither am I. But you know what? People need more old dads out there than YouTube, that's what they need.
I know, if anything the world needs is more content, YouTube just needs more content, and I'm happy to add to that trash fire, so, let's just fucking burn it, man. Let's just go for it and see how it goes.
Of course. Well, some housekeeping at the road for those familiar and those new. This is the Pixel Parents Podcast, the weekly podcast by parents who game. For those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming whilst raising little ones. Now, if you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixelparents.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or you can write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. And if you like what you hear and you want to support the show, you can leave a 5-star review, share this podcast online with your friends, or even like and subscribe to this video. We can start saying that now. It really does help us out. And of course, thank you to everybody that joins us each and every week. So with that out of the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week?
It's been a week, We recorded last week's episode in advance, so it's been 2 weeks since we've had a conversation about games and what we've been playing, and been on holiday since, so I had a week off, which was lovely, getting away and not having to see the PlayStation for a while was quite nice. But the minute I left, the day before Death Stranding 2 came out, and I had not stopped thinking about it from the moment that I left to the moment I got back, and that is literally all I've been playing since we last recorded 2 weeks ago, which is ridiculous. Even with a week off, I think I've broken through the 20-hour mark, and I've done nothing, absolutely nothing. I've left the first area, so I think that all the previews and stuff talk about, you're first placed in Mexico, then you move to Australia and stuff like that. And I'm in Australia, and I've taken my first foray into, connecting Australia again. But yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. Anyway, what about yourself?
Same thing here, man. Death Stranding 2. I kind of let the side down a little bit last week. You were away on holiday, and I thought I need to get a good stab at this. Just to at least try, because my free time for gaming the margin has kind of narrowed a little bit since I've started this new gig. Not as much time at home, admittedly, but I've picked it up again this week. I had a really good session actually over the weekend with it during the day, which is a complete rarity, but it was one of those awesome days in the house where everybody was just kind of having a wee bit of hobby time together. Doesn't happen often, but it was a bit dreich, as they say here, a bit rainy. And yeah, my son was just like on the couch over there next to me, so he couldn't see the screen. Not that, to be honest with you, there's much in there that I would hide from him, bar all the feet. That's about it. But yeah, I think I've got some thoughts on it though. I'll probably kick it off because, I think I've probably been... I wasn't as into the first Death Stranding as yourself, but what I will say off the bat is that, it's a mega improvement for me on the first one. It's obvious in saying that now because that's the general consensus, but I'm with it. I see the light. It's exactly what I wanted. I spoke earlier this year on the show, and I said that I wanted more substance from Kojima, less style, and that's exactly what we're getting here. So I'm pretty delighted. I feel that because the very weird, wonderful, wacky world of Death Stranding is now established, the focus is much more on finding the fun here. So you're basically being given these tools to make the journey much easier for you, and you're getting to the good stuff sooner. So I found that even getting to vehicles, weapons, etc., it didn't feel as much of a slog. And I'm just loving that loop so much more. Because you're getting these tools to make the journey easier for you, it's just like, yeah, let's go for it. It doesn't feel like it's a drag, because I don't really want to walk all the time, even though this is a walking simulator of sorts. I don't really agree, but
yeah, it feels like it's kind of actively pushing you towards vehicles more than walking at the moment. Like, I think there's maybe been a couple of ones that I've done, that a couple of orders that I've done that required walking, but it was like a few and far between, to be honest with you. Nowhere near the level of the first one where you felt like you were walking absolutely everywhere. But for me, I mean, it's an improvement anyway. As you say yourself, it's definitely an improvement, and there's things in the first one that were lacking that this one gives you straight away, which I love. Access to vehicles and stuff like that. The one thing I've told myself is that I'm not going to leave specific areas until I've 5-starred every single person. But I've since learned that is a mistake, because everything opens up as you go along. So it's like, it just makes it easier for you in the long run just doing it. Play the game and then you can go back. So I think I've learned my lesson that way, where now I'm actually kind of just going to go through it and just see where it takes me. But it is a vast improvement, even just to the point of like, the game just expects you to understand what they're talking about, like what the Death Stranding is and was, and what is a BT. Like, it's just like, I like the fact that you've got the wee corpus menu that you can open up, and it basically is like a glossary of terms.
So good,
phenomenal. So it's like, if you did want to read up on it and want to become a Death Stranding buff, then you can. But for me, the biggest difference here is that the characters are all more fleshed out. Last night alone, I had 2 moments with, main characters that have changed my perspective on this whole game already. It is, honestly, there's more character development in this game in the first 20 hours than I had in the whole of Death Stranding 1, and it is ridiculous, like, the fact that you get that far. Even down to like the people who live in the game, like, you see like the holograms that you talk to, like, they seem more human, and they have their own stories, and they seem more natural and stuff as well, which is great. So it's really made a huge difference to my actual desire to go through it, because there was moments in the last few days where I've been like, it does just feel like I'm driving everywhere, and it's not. There's no difference to the first one. Like, there's enough added to it that I think that, I'm not going to stop playing it, obviously, but there's been enough added to it that, my desire is there. But these moments and having those spread out and having this change in it has completely reinvigorated my love for this whole game. So, I'm all in on it, which is not a shock to say to anyone anyway.
No, not at all. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I'm getting the same sense of excitement playing this game that I did when the Phantom Pain came out.
Yeah.
There's that sense of the openness, and there's so much of Phantom Pain's DNA in here. Even like from the way that they're encouraging combat, and that you can get your hands on certain weapons that kind of make you adapt your approach whatever way you're most comfortable. The game is very much just saying, look, have at it. We're not going to force you down one path. Pun not intended there, I suppose. But they're giving you so much more options, and I love that about it. Even like you mentioned, like the characters being so much more fleshed out. That in itself has been streamlined in the sense that it's not. Yes, it's weird, but additions such as the Corpus, if you're like me, who I've not played Death Stranding for years, and it's like, right, I've got a rough idea of the concepts here, and being able to go in that, and I'm making use of it, just a little refresher, and it's fantastic. And it goes without saying as well, this is probably like the best looking game ever. Like, it's insane.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. And
every moment, like, I shared screenshots on Blue Sky last night. Check it out there. But it was like parallels between a scene I was watching last night to Metal Gear Solid 2, and it was like obviously like night and day, but you can see the vision, and it's just like it's ridiculous. Like, this is I think what Kind of Funny did an episode with what's his name from The Boys.
Oh, what's his? No, Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, and it was all about like photo modes in games and the fact that he creates all these pictures and stuff in games. And this is like this is a dream for a person who does that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could spend hours just combing through the world and just trying to find the best places to take pictures and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Like, I've taken more screenshots in this game than I think I have in any game, and I'm only 20 hours into it. Do you know what I mean? There's still a long journey on the way, but outrageous how good this game looks. Yeah, I mean, it really is one of those few gems that make me appreciate that the PS5 Pro is getting put through its paces for sure. And yeah, I can't wait to get back to it, to be honest with you. That's kind of been the routine each night. Just taking my time, not mainlining it, which is very, as you know, very, very strange for me. Like, I'm wanting to take on standard orders and side things as well. And yeah, it's just been such a blast, and I am a little bit apprehensive because I'm about to, this week alone, we've got a lot of games, and I'll come back to that in a minute, but I'm like, no, I'm quite happy to spend some time here in the Death Stranding, getting used to the worlds, and I'm enjoying all the new cameos that's in there as well. Some, very, very light touch ones, some of them are like main cast members and stuff. It's outstanding, it's absolutely outstanding, but I will say, it's one thing I would say, despite all that praise, if you really didn't vibe with the first one, just be warned that this is more of the same, but it's better and more streamlined, so you can get to the fun quicker. But if you're coming up to Death Stranding 2 thinking it's a completely different game, or maybe you've heard about the combat and stuff, and you're thinking maybe it's more like, the Phantom Pain, as we'd mentioned, it has it in its DNA, but this isn't like a Metal Gear Solid 5 type experience. It has those kind of fleeting moments, but it's a lot more streamlined. So if you're expecting something completely different, just be wary. That's probably my only advice at this stage. 100%. It's I think you should know that coming into it as well, to be honest with you. Like, you've hit the nail on the head, is that it has the DNA of Metal Gear Solid 5 in it. It is not the carbon copy of it, but I think there's enough there that if you're looking for something to play that, gives you that wee hit that you missed from the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5, then this is the one, do you know what I mean? Plus it's got an absolute banging soundtrack as well. Yes. So aye. That's
very true. I mean, I should ask as well, right? So you are the Sado here that's platinumed Death Stranding, not once but twice.
Indeed.
You touched on it earlier with the whole 5-starring of it. Now, there was one, I'm not going to name names, right, but there's an early NPC that you're making deliveries to, right? and he will drop a very useful item. You'll probably know what I'm talking about, but you tend to find that, right, if they drop that, they can drop even more improved versions of said item, and I'm trying to get it 5-star, and I did the same as you. I just moved on because A, it was incremental, and B, like you says, you're getting more tools to help you with the job. Would you say that's probably the preferred strategy then, as opposed to staying in 5-star, not just like get through it, get all your tools, then go back and do the mop up?
I'm pretty sure that there is a way that in either the corpus or in the map menu and stuff like that, you can check and see that if you were to level up the bond with them, that you get certain items. Like, so, for talking's sake, somebody gives you a handgun, right? I don't think that's to be... There's handguns in the first one, but if you level up, you get a silenced version of a handgun. So it's like, that makes things 100 times easier. So there are ways in the menus that tell you that if you were to level up this bond with them, that you were going to get that kind of thing. I wasn't really looking at it like that. I mean, I'm not... I think now I will, because I can determine whether or not it's worth it. But some of the ways that... And it's noted, I checked it kind of in the week that I was trying to do it. I played it for 4 days on the bounce, or 4 nights on the bounce, maybe 2 or 3 hours a night. And I was making tiny upgrades to one of the places. Like, it was like I might as well not have bothered. Because I could not find any packages, any sort of lost orders in the world to try and just boost it. But it's worth it, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where you either do it now when you've got limited equipment and kind of makes the journey a bit more worthwhile, or you do it when you have everything, and it just makes everything 100 times easier. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll have things that you can carry more items, or you'll be able to upgrade your backpack more, so you can do different things. Like, just going off the first one, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll have different items that you can upgrade that makes the journey easier for you. Then you can 5-star everything, you know, way easier. But for me, it's very much like, I say I'm stopping it now. I mean, this is the last 10 minutes of me playing it last night, where I decided that I was going to do it. But when I go upstairs and turn it on tonight, it'll be completely different. I'll have changed my mind again. And it's cool that I've bumped into some very familiar faces in the game that, you know, it's been quite interesting to see. And, you know, in the initial trailers for the game, Hideo Kojima didn't show any of the gameplay off, but he let us witness the scene of Dollman dancing. Remember this showed up?
Yep.
And I saw it last night, Liam, and I remember seeing that in trailers and being like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what is this nonsense? Just shows the game. And last night I was grinning from ear to ear watching it. It was phenomenal. Like, it is just incredible the way that he's managed to make such stupid things so meaningful in this game. And, you know, Dollman is up there, and you know, the legends of, like, what'd you call him from, is it Mimir from God of War, up there 100% with him, because I love this stupid wee guy. Like, he's phenomenal. So but yeah, it's
Mimir is closer than you think in Death Stranding.
Indeed he is. Indeed he is.
That's all I will say. But yeah, we'll have more to talk about, as you know, next week as well, as we get a little bit further into it. I'll end it on this. Are you going to platinum this one, Scott? Yes or no?
Yes, 100%.
Love to hear it. You're running out of games to buy this year, sir, so you better platinum it. So
I know, I need to get my money's worth. I need to get my money's worth with it, and I don't think there's many things coming up that, you know, I have to rush to play. So
yeah, I mean, for me, a game that I will always play, Scott, every day since launch, is of course Marvel Snap. Now, I need a brief sad Marvel Snap update here, because things are moving, Scott. Things are moving. And I do think I'm witnessing the end game properly, the death of Marvel Snap. I've said this like 3 weeks running, but it keeps getting worse. It's because a new season kicked off this week, Fantastic Four First Steps inspired, but they've added a new card behind the super premium season pass, which will cost you £20. And that's the first time they've kind of really walled off a new card on release behind like that kind of egregious paywall. So the developers are getting greedy here, and the community are rightfully pissed off. So I'm keeping an eye on that. That's what I'll say now, is that I think by the end of this month we're really going to see, because there's been a lot of boycotts and stuff like that happening. Whether or not that takes hold remains to be seen. But yeah, it's a very strange time to be a Marvel Snap player. I kind of worry that something that's been such a key part of my daily routine for 2.5 years is kind of dying a death, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet, because I'm not really ready to stop playing, despite the amount of times I would get, Shang-Chi out of nowhere. But yeah, it's a strange feeling.
There was nothing better than a Shang-Chi out of nowhere. So what you can't, because kind of the big thing with Marvel Snap before is that you could earn the cards another way. So is this like the only way to get it is to buy it?
No, you will be able to do it, but it will take some time for that to get entered into the Series 5 pool.
Right, okay.
So as of right now, it's, if you're a free-to-play player, you have to wait a wee bit for it, because they've released 3 cards yesterday, basically. You get your standard season pass card, which is always like a tenner, and Mr. Fantastic First Steps, with a weird-looking Pedro Pascal. Doesn't look anything like him, but it does. It's strange. You've got Herbie, who's, very Wall-E-inspired. At least that's what it looks like, even though it's comic book accurate. And then this new card, which is a Fantastica. Is it the best card ever? I don't really think so by the looks of it, but yeah, there's that FOMO piece around it, but it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit icky. But I wanted to touch on it this week anyway.
You're right, especially in a game that, like a meta can be built off of these cards and stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, not allowing players to access it is ridiculous. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's in this day and age where the games industry just seems to be so, greedier than ever. We see what happened last week with Xbox. We're not going to touch on that this week, because I think enough's been said on it. We did have the State of the Games industry and media episode a few weeks ago. I recommend you go do check that out. It almost feels prophetic at this point, but that's because the sad thing is it's the greed is predictable. But yeah,
and it's not that long ago we were putting episodes talking about, is Xbox winning and stuff like that. I mean, is this is year of the Xbox and stuff as well? It is a strange one. I mean, I don't want to get into a conversation about it because I can't be arsed, but it's
similar themes here with Second Dinner. You've got something really good in your hands and you can't help but shoot yourself in the foot. And I hope it ends soon. But there's lots of other games this week as well, Scott. So obviously when this goes live, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 finally hits. I'll be checking that out on Game Pass, speaking of Xbox. I'm kind of keen to see what the reaction is to the Switch 2 version, because it feels like it's a perfect addition for that. And of course on Friday we do have Donkey Kong Bonanza, which will be coming out the Friday as well, and you'll get my full thoughts on that next week. But speaking of Donkey Kong, now we've got a very special treat this week for you. So let's get to it. We've got a special sit-down interview with none other than Mr. Grant Kirkhope. Scott, it was fantastic opportunity with something been sitting on. And yeah, let's just shut up now.
Let it rock.
Let's just hand over to ourselves. So over to me and Scott and Grant. Enjoy. And we're back. This week we've got a real treat for anyone who's ever picked up an N64 controller, got lost in rareware titles, or found themselves humming along to a video game theme decades after they first heard it. We are beyond excited to welcome a true legend of the industry, composer, musician, and the man behind the soundtracks of our childhood, Mr. Grant Kirkhope. Grant, welcome to Pixel Parents. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
We're great. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. It really means a lot. We know how busy life can be, just balancing creativity, family, everything else in between. So we're absolutely buzzing to have you on here with us today.
But I mean, what you have to remember is anything for Scotland, right?
That's it. Always good to have a fellow
Scotsman
on the
Scottish,
show.
I'm in. If it's Scottish, count me in.
Right, so love to hear it. And as we mentioned beforehand, maybe we can get that accent back out you as we go on.
Yeah, I'll try. I can. It's a bit manufactured at the minute. I'm going to have to try harder.
Awesome. So let's just get into it, Grant. So music, memories, creative legacies, and maybe a few jungle drums for good measure as well. Your work, it's shaped so many of our experiences with games. So let's start there. As I mentioned, your music, that is burned into the memories of a generation of gamers. How does it feel knowing your melodies are part of people's childhoods?
Funny enough, I've just started to do conventions this year. I got signed to an agency over here in LA, and they were like, "We want to, represent you." And I was like, "Who's going to care about me going to conventions and signing autographs, you know, and said, oh, well, we think it could be all right. So I got like 13 to do, you know, and you really get, I really enjoyed it because you get to meet people who just say that most of the time. They kind of say, you know, you've been part of our childhood. And I was sort of trying to say that, you know, for anybody to be part of anybody's childhood, even the tiniest bit of it, is a real privilege, really. It really is. You know, and I also feel like you've got that thing where, you know, between like 5 and 12, before you get to be a cool teenager, if you're lucky enough to be part of some kind of media, whatever it is, in that age group, then people are probably going to remember it to the day they die, right? And I feel like when I was a kid, I remember, you know, I'm older than you guys, so I remember Thunderbirds and Scooby-Doo and all the theme tunes that I used to, you know, I know the words to all the songs from my childhood. So I feel like as a kid, you're like a sponge, you just soak it up. So I think that, you know, it's just, I don't know, I try not to get, they've got a phrase over here that it's like, don't drink your own Kool-Aid, so I'm not like that. And I really don't take it, it's not lost on me that that's a really special thing. So, you know, if even one person likes something that's came out of my head in the world, that's amazing. But if a few people do, that's crazy, right? So, you know, it's very humbling to hear stuff like that. It really is.
It's incredible. It really is, and it's synonymous with our childhood and the fact that, you know, I've recently only started and only just played Banjo-Kazooie for the first time, and even now humming the music constantly, like ridiculously. But, you know, you kind of touched on it there, but what goes through your mind when you hear people maybe, like, you know, humming these theme tunes and, like, kind of talking about the GoldenEye music and stuff like that as well? Like, what are your thoughts on all that?
You know, I still get the nostalgia like everybody else. It reminds me of the time when I started Rare when I was 33, pretty late in life. I'd been in bands for a long time and not really getting anywhere. And had to kind of stumble onto a job that late in life is pretty rare, right? Considering that I'd never had a job before that. I'd only left university and then played in bands and that was it. I never had a job in my life. So, you know, and it takes me back to those times on that team with those people that were still friends to this day, you know. So it does bring you back. And even watching, you know, I don't watch banjo get played very much, but when I do, it's like, oh God, it really does take me back just like anybody else, you know. Because I think that, funny enough, I'm working on a game right now and I'm trying to, it's not banjo, of course, but I'm trying to sort of find that simplicity in the music again. I feel like sometimes as composers you can get a little bit wrapped up in making the orchestrations extra complicated or, you know, John Williams-esque or whatever. And sometimes that's not what people give a shit about, right? Sometimes it's like people don't want to see those simple tunes that you just can't forget. So I'm trying to rediscover that in myself a little bit at the moment. It's good fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like, you know, banjo was I did GoldenEye, right, as a just music, right? Me and Graham Norgate did the music half and half each, just about. So banjo was the first game that I did all the music, all the sound effects. So that's my own thing when I got to give my own kind of impression on it, you know. So the fact that it stood the test of time, the fact that it's any good is, you know, quite surprising to me, really, you know. So you wouldn't think that your second game would be, well, kind of peaked early, right? So
what a game to do it with, though, as well. What a game to do it with.
Well, you know, it's got a lot of love, banjo, over the years. It really has, and it still has to this day. So it's very, you know, I guess the whole team, we all poured our hearts and souls into it, and the kind of 14, 15 guys who created it, all that Mickey taking that went on up the corridor, shouting at each other in these blocks at Rare, you know, the Mickey taking just bled into the game, right? That kind of, I guess it's got kind of a Brit sense of humour to it, really, in some respects. And I think it's just a real reflection of, like, that team, we worked hard together, we went out and got drunk together, we did everything together. And I feel like when it's like that, it's the best, right? Because you're all super passionate, you can all take the mickey out of each other and not get offended, and all that stuff that really makes good games. So, I'll say we're all still mates to this day, no different, you know. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. And you touched on it there, Grant. You know, you came into Rare at such a pivotal time as well. You know, what was that early period like creatively for yourself?
To think someone like me who spent a lot, you know, 11 years playing in kind of rock bands and like poppy bands and stuff, you know, trumpet and guitar, metal bands and stuff like that over those 11 years. I mean, you know, I never thought I'd ever have a proper job. I just thought I'd be like signing on the dole, off and on, going on tour, back on the dole, you know, like I was doing, and that was going to be it, playing in pubs and stuff like that, you know. So never for 1 minute thought I'd ever get a job never mind writing music, for God's sake. And plus the fact I'd failed the harmony exam 3 years out of 4 at the Royal Northern College of Music because I was so bad at harmony. So how on earth I got to be a composer, I really don't know. That's a bit bizarre. It's like, I was so bad at harmony, I'm a composer now. Yeah, how does that work? So, Robin Beanland, of course, was my mate who played in local bands with me in North Yorkshire, and he got the job at Rare first, and then suggested to me that perhaps I should, 11 years in the door's long enough for anybody, and maybe I should, try and get a job, and maybe I could do what he was doing. If he had suggested it or done it, I'd never have done it. So, and to get to that moment where the N64 had just got there, they were just kind of getting it going on GoldenEye when I got there, and they'd just done Diddy Kong's Quest on the SNES, and still doing Ken Griffey Baseball on the SNES as well, and the Game Boy was still happening, of course. That was my first job when I got there. But you feel like Rare had made the news at 10, like back in the day in the UK when they had news at 10 on ITV. It had made the news because Nintendo had bought just under half the company. Like, that was unheard of. Like, Nintendo never would even look at a Western developer. They didn't care. So that was spectacular. So to get there right at that moment when Nintendo just bought off the company, that had a massive success with Donkey Kong Country, which was unbelievable. Diddy Kong's Quest was equally fantastic, and they were working on DKC 3 when I got there. So I just thought it was like going to Disneyland. I mean, to work and to actually get a job writing music is like, is this real? I mean, I've been on the dole off and on for the last 11 years. Actually getting paid to do something. I'd never had a wage before. It was like, Jesus Christ, I get money at the end of the month. So it was just. It was beyond fantastic. Apart from the first day, because when I got there the first day, Dave Wise, and my first job was to convert Dave Wise's music from the SNES DKC2 to work on the original Game Boy. And that was all done in hex, right? So it's like 4 numbers on a black, just like in program. There's no music, there's no notes or anything like that. It's all done in hex. And I was like, oh, I don't know how that works. So Dave kind of came over and showed me, and Dave was brilliant at it. He's like, this is how you do it. Just left, And I was like, oh my God. So I rang Robin and said, look, I'm going to have to quit. I said, I really can't do it. It's too hard. And he said, you've only been here a day, don't be so stupid. Get Dave back tomorrow and have another go. So I got Dave back the next day and went through I just wrote it down in steps, like step 1, press alt this, step 2, press that, I had like 20 steps to get a note into the Game Boy, So in the end I quite enjoyed it, but at the start it was pretty daunting. But yeah, so then it was agreed that Graham Norgate was busy doing Ken Griffey Baseball and Blastcore and GoldenEye. I said, look, I'm busy on those, can you take over doing GoldenEye? I was like, are you kidding? So I was allowed to do Game Boy in the morning and GoldenEye in the afternoon. That's how I got it.
That's amazing. Genuinely amazing. Kind of talking about it there a wee bit, and you're saying about, coming into something brand new and starting it with yourself, but how do you start it? I mean, me and Liam I'm an idiot to these things. Liam understands music better than I know anything, but how do you even start the creative process on a new game? You're talking about a game you're working on right now, like where do you begin?
So I always say I'm not a very intellectual composer. I don't think I am. But I just think when someone says to me, it's a frozen ice castle or something like that, like my head's already thinking to myself, like what sounds icy and spiky in my head? So like pizzicato, strings, glockenspiel, celeste, things that I think sound spiky that sound like ice. So that'll, even before I hit the keyboard, I'll be thinking about that. Or it's a warm forest, I'm thinking about bassoons, or maybe some cellos or strings, or you think about those things, right? So, or it's a cyberpunk, you're thinking about synthesizer patches and stuff like that, So I think that any composer worth the salt these days, it's in your head before you even start. So all I do is, honestly, I've not changed. The way I write music hasn't changed from day one to now. It's exactly the same. I'll just load up a sample like a clarinet, a French horn or something, or a synth patch, and mess around with it to try and find some chords or a tune that I think that I like, and then build it out from there. Now, there's no magic wand. And I do also feel like the beauty of being at Rare for nearly 13 years was it's a 9-to-5 job, right? Like any other job that anybody else does, no different. You turn up at 9 in the morning and you start work. You start writing music. I think a lot of composers who don't have that kind of that thing, they kind of sit in a darkened room and wait for the hand of the Lord to hand them inspiration. It's not like that for me. I'm very workmanlike. I'll sit down and mess around with it. I'm not going to sit there and go, I don't feel like it now, I'll do it later. I don't do that. At 8:45 in the morning every day, 7 days a week, I'll start. I might write a load of crap, but I'll start. And then I'll finish maybe 1 or 2 because I get bored, and then I'm rubbish in the afternoons, so I'll go and do something else, and then I'm busy, I'll go back and do it again at night. So, I just think that I've been at Rare, doing that every day for 13 years was a fantastic training to get you used to. Because when you are a media composer like I am, or you work for other people, so you've got deadlines to meet. You've got people who want to hear stuff straight away. You want it back the next day, in the first 30 bars tomorrow, whatever. So you've got to be like that. I think people that are kind of sitting there, waiting for that inspiration to happen, might be waiting for quite some time and might miss the deadline and it's all over. So you can't be like that. You've got to get on with it, right? So
Get on with it.
I feel like if you want to write a pop song or a symphony, great. You do it when you feel like it. But if you're working for somebody else, you're no different to the gardener, the mechanic, whatever, the checkout person. That's your hours. You've got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, no, that's actually fascinating. Yeah, because it's building in that work ethic towards your process. I never really thought of it that way, because you think you must just be sitting there waiting for divine inspiration somewhere. But yeah,
I do think if you do it, I said when I give talks to composers, I always say, set aside the same time every day, whatever time that is for you, and you just 2 o'clock I'm writing, 8:30 in the morning I'm writing, 10:30 I'm writing, and if you do that every day, it gets your brain programmed to go, right, I've got to start coming up with some notes at this time of day. I think that's the way to do it. Do it at the same time every day, day in, day out.
That's excellent advice. Love that. Wish I heard that earlier in life. One thing, Grant, I'm really keen to find out is, what kind of music influenced you and informed your own creative process and your own compositions? So, like in the early days, living in Edinburgh, my dad was a massive Frank Sinatra big band fan, right? So, and all my family was like that. So big bands and Frank Sinatra from day one, really. That's what I heard all the time. The kind of the crooners, all those kind of people back in those days, watching the old Bing Crosby stuff and films and all those stuff that was brilliant back in the day. Especially Frank Sinatra. I just thought it was fantastic. So I knew all that stuff. And then you get into your little kind of pop music phase as a growing up. But then I kind of hit metal about maybe 12 or 13 when I kind of heard AC/DC's first album, High Voltage, and Queen's Sheer Heart Attack, and those two albums it was like, oh my god, this is what music's all about. So that changed me from the word go. And also my cousin is up in Edinburgh. He was a bit, funny enough, Ross, he'd bring albums down like Yellow Brick Road, Elton John. I never heard it, and just the odd tracks that he liked, and it would really, I'd like, it's different to me from being like just a kiddie school pop music fan, right? So but High Voltage, AC/DC, and Queen, and then it was kind of metal all the way, really, like into like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and all that stuff. The early stuff that I still like to this day. Queensryche, Van Halen, massive Van Halen fan. Nice. So all that stuff's the music. But I guess equally, going through school, I'm playing in orchestras on Saturday morning, like on trumpet. I'm a trumpet player, so I was kind of self-taught guitar at like 12, like metal stuff, and then classical trained trumpet player. So I had this kind of two opposing ends of my musical thing, right? So sitting in an orchestra, playing stuff, and then going home and headbanging, so a bit like that. So I guess I feel like I got to hear the kind of the greats of the classical stuff and the greats of metal as well. And that's where it comes from.
That early teenage metal awakening is like nothing else, honestly. I think it comes for us all. It's phenomenal. Yeah. You have inspired an entire generation of game composers, it seems. Are there any up-and-coming talents that have stood out to you, or any scores in recent years that kind of stand out?
So I'm bad at that, because I try not to listen to other game soundtracks if I can help it, because I want to make it sure it comes out of my head if I can. That's why I will listen to film scores probably more, but not that much. So people often say I've got the Kirkhopean sound, and I kind of think it sounds a bit grand, and it's not by design. It's just the way it comes out of my head, right? So I think any musician that's got a set of chords they like, or whether they write melodies or whatever it is, it's kind of your fingerprint, right? Like when I hear Eddie Van Halen or Brian May play the guitar, I can tell it a mile away without even knowing it's them, because the way they phrase stuff, the way the vibrato is, whatever, you can tell it's them. So I feel like any composer, any musician's got that thing in their head that just sound like them. So I feel like that's just the way I write stuff. So I try and keep true to that, because I feel like people want to hire me for that usually. There's no point me trying to sound like somebody else, because it's just crap usually. So I just write like me. And people either like it or they don't. That's it. So I do. When I do know, I'll dive in, listen to bits and pieces. Like Austin Winter's a great friend. He's a great composer. Will Roger, did the hell of a soundtrack. He's a great composer. There's so many. Danny Banosky's a great friend of mine. He's a great composer. Jimmy Hinson is a great composer. There's plenty of guys that I know who write great music. There's a gazillion great composers out there. It's not like there's not many. There's gazillions. So I will maybe nip in here and there and try and hear bits and pieces, but I try not to get too influenced by it if I can help it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, makes sense. Being called the Pixel Parents Podcast, we are very focused on parent gamers. So we're actually keen to know, has becoming a parent changed how you approach music or, the work that you do?
So I guess one good thing about being freelance now is like I got to see more of the kids growing up. Because especially moving over here, because the traffic's ridiculous. You can't get anywhere, to such things. So you'd be out super early and back a bit late. So you miss the kids growing up. So when I went freelance in 2012 and I moved to LA, it meant I was home more, so I got to see them growing up. So the kids were maybe like, I don't know, how old were they? Like 11 or something when we moved here. We moved to America, they're like 2 and 5 or 2 and 6. So 22 and 19 now. It's been good. I mean, and also, like my son Max is a massive. He's just finished a degree at UC Santa Cruz to be a game designer. So awesome. What he wants to be. Despite my protestations, that's what he wants to do. So I do. Like hearing him playing Undertale and going, oh, and that's people love the Undertale stuff. And like he'll pick up on things and go, have you heard this? Have you heard that? So that's quite good. And my daughter's a massive kind of Minecraft Roblox player. Nintendo one. It's completely blocking my mind at the minute. The Animal one.
Animal Crossing.
That's it. Yeah. Just old age sucks, right? I can't remember what you did yesterday, can you? Or this morning even. But you can't remember what you did 10 years ago, right? Yeah. So, but like, So that. I mean, it's. I guess like me and Max, he just got Switch 2. We were playing Mario Kart yesterday, so we did that like for all afternoon yesterday. So that was great fun. I think you do. It's not. It's cool to see your games through their eyes. So when he was little, when he first started to play Banjo-Kazooie, it was cool to see him play it and what he thought about it and and all that. And ironically, I think he really liked Nuts and Bolts because he didn't have much of a. When we first moved to America, a lot of the kids, his mates, when they came to the house, they wanted to play Nuts and Bolts because it was a building game. They could build vehicles, right? Very Minecrafty. It kind of predates Minecraft, really, because they had no idea what Banjo-Kazooie was like in the past. They'd never seen it. So it's that you get to see. I feel like little kids have got there's no cool filter, right? They just like what they like. They don't care if it's cool or not. And I like that. You get to see that kind of pure, unrefined view of something. If it's crap, it's crap. If it's good, it's good. There's no, it's cool to like that, it's cool to like that. They don't care. So it's good to see little kids, in that kind of 5 to 12-ish kind of thing, playing games that I've done even to this day, like the Mario games or the Minecraft stuff I've done, whatever. I feel like it's good to see them play it because you kind of go, oh, right, so they like that, and I didn't really notice that. There's bits that you see that you think, oh, they really like that bit, and you think, well, I don't, that's a, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm waffling now, but it's like the whole, the GoldenEye pause music thing, like everyone thinks that's this genius piece of music, and like, it took me 15 minutes to write it because no one gives a shit about pause music. They go and have a cup of coffee, go to the toilet, whatever, so you just write pause music in 20 minutes and forget about it, right? So that's what my wife's talking about. So the fact that that's become this iconic thing of like brilliance is like, really? Took me like 15 minutes, I didn't really think about it, and now it's all of a sudden I'm a genius. It's like, so you never know with these things. So I think that you can't predict any of it.
Yeah, but I've actually seen a lot of the TikToks.
They're great, aren't they? Really good, yeah.
Just with the creative process, it must make you laugh, like kind of like they're coming in. We just need some pause music, and it's just this big jam.
I know. Yeah, they're really. I guess that's the reason it's probably become more popular because of those TikToks, right?
Yeah.
And it's just when I think about it, I just think it's a drum beat. I don't even think it's anything because it's just a Bond tune, right? But when I was, I've been a metal fan back then, like I am now, I think I knew nothing about hip hop or R&B, I didn't care, but I just knew the was like a hip hop beat at the time. Like, I'd stick that in it. I don't know, just to go over the chords and the melody. And lo and behold, it's magic now. It's like like I do that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, question I have for you though, you mentioned like GoldenEye and all that. I mean, if your kids, if they played any of the games you worked on, I know the games might have been a bit dated by the time they were they were kids themselves. I'm thinking, because I'm older than your kids naturally, but
right.
Have you seen them ever play a game? What's it like? Have they ever give you like feedback? What do they think of your work?
Yeah, so they kind of played. I think my son They definitely played Banjo-Kazooie and that, and a bit of Tui. My son really loved Viva Pinata, so he played that. He played that to death. He knows it inside out. My daughter, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, funny enough, she liked that. So she played it all the way through, which is like, not most people didn't do that. So yeah, and my son loved Nuts and Bolts. So yeah, they've played most of it. Yeah, and not Perfect Dark. I don't think GoldenEye. I don't think, I'd have to ask him, but he's certainly the ones that everybody remembers. He's played those. Yeah.
Cool. Did they inspire your work?
My kids.
Yeah.
Not particularly. I don't think so. I don't think. I've not written anything that's kind of that way inclined. I don't think. So no. I have to say no. I'm a bad father.
You touched on it earlier, Grant. Obviously, as your son want to be a game designer, but have either of your kids, have they ever shown any hint that they want to follow in your musical footsteps at all? They inspired
well,
at all?
they both had a brief flirtation with the trumpet, which is bizarre because that's what I played, right? So my son did it for about a year, my daughter did too, but they both gave up, and I kind of was secretly pleased that they did, because I was a bit like, music's a hard way of life if you really want to do it, and to make money out of music's very hard, and I've been very lucky. So most of my mates who did music back then in the day are still doing music in pubs to this day. That's what they do. So I feel like, I was secretly pleased that they didn't pursue it any further.
I mean, for us alone, but for many people around the world, your work on, the N64 classics like Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64 and GoldenEye shaped how we feel games sound and still should sound to this day. Do you realise when you're making it the impact that it would have? Like, do you sit back and go, like, that is the best thing I'm ever going to do? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Never,
in 20 years' time, this is going to be...
Never, not once. I mean, I think you just do your best, right? You've got no idea about how it's going to go. And also back then, I guess, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is now, so, you had to wait a month for the mags to review stuff, right? So you had no idea if anyone liked anything. So you just had to wait a month and see if anyone liked it. So I don't think... And maybe that's a good way, because Rare was very, very isolated. It's in Twycross, in the middle of nowhere. All that's in Twycross there is there's a private school, there's a pub, and it's like a tractor repair thing. I think that's it. And has some houses, nothing there, and the zoo's just up the road. That's about it. That's all in Twycross, middle of nowhere. So I feel like there was nothing else to do apart from make games, right? And because Rare never did any interviews, it was all a bit like... Tim and Chris Tampa were like, we're not pop stars, we just make games. The games do the talking, right? So, and they were such fantastic bosses to work for. Tim and Chris, Stamper, they were brilliant. So we just made games, right? And just everything kind of touched back in that day seemed to turn to gold. And it was just, I feel like those two guys, they just bled into the rest of us, right? So, it just made everything great. So, yeah, amazing.
Awesome. And it's probably a big question for you, right? But you've written a lot of music, you listen to a lot of music. So what do you think makes a soundtrack timeless for players? Because you must get approached by that all the time. Like, people are like, this has shaped everything for me. This is how games should sound. But what do you think makes a soundtrack timeless? What's that quality?
I don't know. Is it the melody? I don't know. Maybe it's a melody. I don't know. I think that we, back in those days, we were like, like Tim and Chris and all the composers, me, Dave Wise, Robin and Graham, who worked there at the time, it was like, you need to write music, tunes like Nintendo, right? Because they last forever. And you can play the level for the next half an hour and not get pissed off with it. And I was like, oh, how do you do that? How do you, write music that people don't get pissed off with on the 8 millionth listen? It's like, how do you do that? So you don't know. You just try your best, right? So I think that I don't know. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of melody. That's what I pride myself on, trying to write a tune that's hooky and good. I'm not saying I do it every time, but I try. And I do feel like, in some respects, in a lot of modern media, it's lacking. That is. Yeah. And I feel like if you take away the John Williams melodies from Star Wars, the music's still great, but you probably wouldn't remember any of it. Because all the battle sequences are all very complicated and very complexly orchestrated. Mm-hmm. But when you get the Darth Vader bit, he's batting on the money with the tune, or the Luke Skywalker bit with the tune, or Princess Leia with it, or whatever, or Indiana Jones, or any of that, or Harry Potter, any of those things. So I think that, sometimes the modern director of both games and TV and movies shy away from the melody. They don't want to hear it. They say, well, it detracts from the scene. And I'm a bit like, if it detracts from the scene, mate, you need to write a better scene. That's what I think. Music should enhance the scene. It should give you something to latch onto. And I do feel like these days when you get the odd TV or whatever tune program that does have a decent tune, everyone kind of shits themselves. Oh my God, the music. Because they're so used to not hearing it anymore. You think like Severance has got that great piano tune that you hear all over the entire thing, and it's so haunting, and it's like people are going, oh my God, it's amazing, because you're starved of that. You don't, or even like the Succession tune, the Britell thing, you know, that's got a great tune. It's all, the chords are all over the place. You know, it's like, it just makes such a difference. You know, there's that video on YouTube where there's a guy wandering on the street saying to people, can you sing Harry Potter? Can you sing, you know, Indiana Jones? Can you sing whatever, you know? And then can you sing Thor? No. Can you sing Captain America? No. Can you sing Spider-Man? No. And that's, to me, that sums it up, right? It's like you got that gigantic Marvel franchise and you can't remember any of it. I tell a lie. I feel like the Avengers motif, I can remember that because Alan Silvestri, he wrote Back to the Future, knows what he's doing. Equally, Michael Giacchino's Spider-Man thing, you can probably remember that because he writes tunes, right? So I feel like, what a wasted opportunity. You know, when you could have got a gigantic thing like that, why don't we all sing the melodies all day long? Why not? You know, you don't have to have wall-to-wall melody. You just need that. You just need that. When the bang on the money moment, when it's time for the tune, you know, the Battle of Britain tune from the movie, right? You can't miss it. You know what I mean? Things like that. Like, you just gotta, you know, why is that not as prevalent? And I do feel like in games, in some respects, it's the last bastion of melody. It still exists in games. Nintendo still want it a lot, and you know, a lot of the games have got a tune, like the Helldivers tune's a great tune, very memorable. I mean, Will wrote that. It's fantastic, right? So, and when that came out, and was like, oh my God, the music. It's like, yeah. That's what it likes when you get a tune. That's what it's like. It's great. You remember it. When you play the game, you hear the music. When you're not playing the game, you remember playing the game. You remember that moment. Like when you hear the Bond melody, you know where you are, right? Like in the end of the Bond movies. So I feel like, why wouldn't you want to have that experience? You come out of the theatre, whistling the tune, right? There's a reason why you don't hear very many ambient tracks at number one of the charts, do you? Like Never, right? Because it's probably got Lady Gaga's number one. She's probably written a really great tune that you can remember. That any man or woman can whistle in the street on their way to work in the morning, right? That for me is all what it's all about. That's my preach.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. So obviously talking about, we talk a lot about, you know, video game moments and fans, and, you know, kind of video games that shape people's lives. But have any fans ever shared, you know, moments of your music that have really stuck with you? You know, like any stories that they've come across?
I tell you what, I do get, you know, sad emails from time to time, or even meeting people at these conventions where they were playing Banjo-Kazooie with the mother or father who was dying of cancer or whatever, and they say playing those moments, they're playing that game again takes them right back to sitting in the bed next to the person, and you get that real, you know, you forget that games do that, right? Mm-hmm. They can do that. I guess movies and TV shows can do it too. But when you're sat there interacting with a parent and they're having a laugh, playing a silly game like maybe stuff that I've done or anybody else for that matter, I mean, that is really special. And if that can take them back to that moment and just remember those feelings, that's fun. For me, that's fantastic. So you get tons of, and also you get people who had, you know, hard lives, and they shut themselves away in their bedroom and play those games, and it would take them to another world for a little while, away from the shit they were dealing with, whatever it was. So that's equally special. So I do think that, you know, those are really special moments when people tell you about stuff like that.
That's really, really touching. It really is, actually. And I don't know, I'm reminded of kind of like the power of music and, you know, the work that's been done with, like, you know, dementia charities and stuff like that as well. They kind of bring people back for a few seconds when they hear a certain piece of music. But you know, I'm going off on a tangent here. But
but it's true. And I do think that's true. And I think video game composers enjoy a bit of a charmed life in some respects, because I think video game players really go looking for the composers. I think movies and TV not so much. But I feel like video game players want to know who composed the music, and they'll they'll follow that composer and they'll cheer them along with the next project. And I do feel like, you know, maybe it's because you play the games for so long and your music you get brainwashed with it. Maybe, I mean, you might go and see a movie 2-3 times perhaps, and then you maybe forget about it. But with the game, you can play it over and over again, and well, I guess you can see a movie over and over again. But I feel like it's more game centric like that. They'll play it for a much longer period of time, hours on end. So I think that a lot of the game composers that I know, really, it's super nice that people give a shit what you do. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And this is one going back into the past as well for you, Grant. So you've talked a lot about the music that you've done, the classics, etc., the ones that we all know. But are there any tracks you've composed or projects you've worked on at Rare that never saw the light of day, or ones that you wish that fans could hear?
Well, I guess Dream, prior to Banjo-Kazooie, but it turned into Banjo-Kazooie, and I did write 107 pieces of music for that game, and it never came out. It just got switched to Banjo-Kazooie. So I guess quite a lot of that's been on the internet. People have found it and stuck it out there. So I think some of that Dream stuff's out there, and some of it made into other games. I've used some of the stuff, those tunes in, like I think Hippie DK64 and maybe also Viva Pinata. Things turned up in there. But I mean, I did a game a little while ago called Drop Zone, which kind of came out, made a bit of a splash, and then completely disappeared with some friends of mine. And I like that soundtrack. It's kind of like a kind of sci-fi. I've got it on my Spotify profile. So I feel like I like writing that music. I don't know if anyone liked it, but I like writing it. So never listens to that really. And there's also like working on things like the Mario Rabbids games, like Davide Soliani, Romain Brio, Ramar Brio, who's the audio director. With them, like Davide's quite fussy, but like I'd write lots of versions, and then I'd have to keep changing it and changing it and changing it. So a lot of the early versions, no one gets to hear that stuff, right? So I'm considering like putting that out somewhere. That all my early versions I've got such a lot of music sat on my hard drives that no one ever hears. I'm thinking I should stick it out there, and if it thinks it's shit, fair enough. But I should maybe just put it out there, and they can hear it and see my process how it got to the final version from the version I started at the start, right? So people might find it interesting. So I've been talking about doing that. I just haven't got around to it.
You
think
totally
that would
should.
be interesting, aye.
Your very own Paisley Park right there. That's what you want.
We've spoken a lot about the past, but what about the future? Is there anything that excites you, or what excites you most about the future of video game music?
Well, I just think, hopefully I continue to work and make money and pay the bills. That'd be great. I feel like, funny enough, I was in Ghent in Belgium at the World Soundtrack Awards, and I was chatting to Austin Winter with friends, and I was sort of saying, I was at a point where I was like, everyone's writing this big orchestral music, and like, does it mean anything anymore? And he was like, well, I think it does. And I was like, I'm at a crossroads. I was kind of thinking, do I need to still go down this path of writing this gigantic orchestral stuff? Do I need to kind of take it back a bit and be more simplistic? And but I feel like I'm better now. I had a little moment of fluctuation. So I just feel like there's still that fantastic tune out there somewhere. There's always going to be. There's still something someone's going to write. We're going to go, oh my god, it's going to be remembered forever. And I really genuinely believe that video game music will be the classical music of the future. I really think it will be. 100 years' time, they'll look back and go, oh yeah, halcyon age, whatever. So I think everybody who works on every level of video games, on movies and TV, needs to just keep making great art, right? Whatever that is, And there'll be people that will write stuff that's a bit off the wall that really catches and the people that write traditional stuff that really catches on as well. I just think, once you get that perfect match, like marring together of the great bit of music with a great bit of visuals, whatever that happens to be, that will always be a fantastic event, right? A moment in a movie, a moment in a game where it's like, oh god, with the heavens open and the sun shines, I feel like that's just that moment can always exist forever going forward. There's always going to be a chance to do that. It just depends whether the composer and the game people and the movies people hit that moment or not. You might miss it. I mean, it's just, you've got to. Sometimes it's just a bit of luck as well, because you can write great music for a project, any kind of media, and no one watches it or plays it. You're never going to hear it. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be on something that gains popularity, so people get the chance to hear it. A lot of times, people don't check out the soundtrack because they haven't played the game or didn't get good reviews or whatever. So there's all that going on at the same time. So it's a moving target a lot of the time. But I think there's always going to be moments that, hopefully I'll have some more to come. I don't know. But, I feel like there's still that thing going on where it can be like that. You just do your best and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, but very well said. I mean, you're absolutely right. Just keep on going. That's the best thing you could do creatively, and just keep on making things at the end of the day once you stop.
No, it's true. I think, I've got this amount, I don't know if it's come up backwards. It does. But it's from Winston Churchill, never, never, never give up. It's like, and that's my little Fig magic. I know he was a questionable character in some respects, but, that whole never, never, never give up thing, I think it's a great mantra. It's like, because giving up's easy. Like, keeping going's hard. Like, sometimes by virtue of the fact I stuck around for 30 years, I'm still getting work, right? Because lots of other people gave up 15 years ago. So I'm making them transition from staff composer to freelance composer. Most of the time it doesn't go very well. So I've been lucky. I feel like I've had a kind of happy set of fortunate disasters in my life that have kind of just got me to where I am right now. And there was times where it's like, oh my God, when I worked at big, huge games and it went bust, and things like that. It was like, well, and I was on a visa here. It's like, what do I do now? I just go home. What do you do? And so little things pop up here and there. Like, I got a mate who worked, my mate Jeremy, I forget his second, kill me forgetting his second name. God, my bleeding memory's shite. So, he was from Harrogate, he was best mates. Jeremy, Jezza, for God's sake. Anyway, he was at Sega Australia at the time, and I'd had a big run of bad luck where I was just going, oh my God, it's gone desperately wrong, just moving to LA. He's like, yeah, we've got this game, Mickey Mouse and Castle of Illusion, do you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, great, just popped out of nowhere. And so I did that, and then just after that I got the email about my Rabbids and just some Civilization for Axis, and all of a sudden, so it's that constant thing where, to my wife's disdain, it's hooray, oh my God, that's the way it is, right?
That seems to be the whole industry, to be honest with you, as well.
No, at the moment I think it really is, the whole thing at Rare that happened last week about the whole layoffs, like 9,000 people out of Microsoft, that's crazy,
Yeah.
And it's happening all over the place.
I don't know if you know anybody that was impacted, but it was absolutely brutal to watch, just as, from somebody even that doesn't know people in the industry. It was absolutely savage what happened last week.
Oh no, I do know a few people at Rare still. Not many, but a few who got laid off, so it's pretty crap. I don't know. I feel like everybody overhired during COVID, right? Because everyone was at home, everybody was playing games, so that people were hiring people to make games, and I guess it's still that thing where we don't need these people anymore. It's the maybe games. I don't know. You keep hearing that games are bigger than movie and TV combined, so why is everybody getting laid off? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I know. Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. But I'll pivot things out into something a little bit more whimsical here before we go down this this route. But big question I have for you. So we've got a few questions left, but what I want to know is, do you have a dream project or a collaboration still on your bucket list? If you could just pick up the phone and say, I'm doing the music for this next game or project, and they say yes, what one would it be?
That's easy. It'd be Zelda. Easy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So my favourite game of all time is Zelda: Link to the Past on the SNES. I love that game. And the music was fantastic in that game. I mean, that's what kind of a game kind of went, oh my God, that's, even on the SNES, it just was fantastic music. So, Zelda, easy. It never happened, but that would be the one.
Manifest it. We'll all manifest it.
I wish.
Campaign.
You actually mentioned the Switch 2 earlier on, and obviously we've got the big man coming back with Donkey Kong Bonanza this week. As the composer behind Donkey Kong 64, if Nintendo was to call up the phone, big Nintendo, and they said, do you want to work on the new Donkey Kong title, what would your answer be? I think
in a heartbeat, I'd say yes, of course. I'd love to do it. I mean, it's cool. They've got the DK Rap seems to be in there, and Ramby's tune of mine. And also, Dave Wise has got 3 or 4 tunes we've heard so far in there. I mean, Dave's great friends. So the fact they've gone back and touched some of our old stuff, and also I've got to say the DK Rap vocals, the Donkey Kong, it sounds exactly like out of Rare. So I'm a bit like, how did they get hold of that? I guess when Microsoft bought Rare, the deal was that Rare kept all the IPs, but they gave back everything Donkey Kong. So all the source files would have gone back to Nintendo. So obviously we used to have the full quality samples on our hard drives before we converted them to resample them to lower sample rates to get them into the N64, right? So all that stuff will still exist. So they must have gone through. As I say, I don't know, but it does sound just like the chorus from the DK Rap from DK64. So if they could have gone in and found the original the wave samples out of high quality, and they could stick them in the game. So I don't know, but it just sounds really like it. It doesn't sound like some, and you can easily tell when I can hear there's a guy called Chris Peel at Rare who got a big booming voice. I'm sure I can hear him on that sample. So I don't know, let's wait to get the game, but I just feel like it just sounds like they've just gone back and got the actual samples out of the game and used them in the new version. So, I don't know.
I think there was reports today as well saying that Donkey Kong 64 is coming to Nintendo Switch Online soon as well.
Well, I don't know. They would never tell me, but I mean, I feel like it's funny. We never thought that Nintendo really liked DK64 that much. We don't think Mr. Miyamoto liked DK64 that much. That was just that kind of rumor that kind of circulated Rare, so I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe it will. I mean, I suppose why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? Yeah.
Everything else turns up. I don't know. Let's see.
Let's see, indeed. And you touched on it there. You know, we mentioned GoldenEye with the TikTok things earlier, and now there's so much love for DK rap as well, thanks to like the Mario movie as well. You know, it's went from meme to cult classic. And do you feel a bit like the spiritual father of Donkey Kong's musical identity now?
I don't know. I feel like Dave Wise really is a DK guy. I mean, he did the DK C1 and 2 and a bit of 3, and then the remakes, the new games they did over at Retro. So I feel like Dave is the DK master. Really, I feel like I'm behind him. But I do feel like we often sort of say, isn't it bizarre that Donkey Kong is kind of mostly known musically for him and me? You know, when it's Nintendo's property, you'd think so. Perhaps it'll be music in the new game that really stands out, you know, like Nintendo. And obviously they've got great composers at Nintendo, so it's going to be fantastic, you know. But it is bizarre that me and Dave ended up getting like Dave's aquatic ambience from DK2 1, which is amazing, you know, and like, you know, Stickerborough Symphony and Bramble Blast that are in the new game, like, you know, Dave and the original I mean, that's Dave, right? So, you know, I feel like he's the DK master. But I feel like I'm just nestling behind him with the DK rap, you know. So, you know, and I feel like, you know, when we first did that, me and George Andreas, I was just talking to him this morning actually. He did the lyrics, and you know, he said he was a game designer on DK64, and said, you know, I think we should do a rap for that. And I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fantastic, George. What a great idea! I'll sort it out. And he wanted it to be a bit like that Run DMC Jason Nevins track. It's like that, but it's the way it is, which is quite a fast track. And I was like, no, mate, you want to be slow. You know, that kind of funky called Medina. It's like, all right, whatever you say. You know, I was like, yeah, it's going to be great. And of course, everybody hated it, of course. You know, so it was kind of, no one got the joke really except me and him, so, you know, at the time. So I feel like little kids, like between 5 and 12, they like the DK rap when it first came out. They'd dance around the living room when they're playing it, and they'd never skip it. But the teenagers are like, yeah, this is crap. It's not cool, and it isn't, and it's crap, I agree. But so I feel like 25 years later, I've had to wait 25, whatever it is, 30 years later, so it's finally become a thing that people kind of, it's that thing it's the kind of thing that's so bad that it's cheesy good now, right? So I guess, you know, it's like for the wrong reasons. It's not actually a good piece of music, it's dreadful. But you know, I often say all this complicated orchestra stuff that I write, you know, that I really try super hard on, and then it's like, oh yeah, but the DK rap and the GoldenEye Force music. You know, my gravestone's going to read, you know, here lies Grant Kirkhope. He wrote the DK rap and the GoldenEye Force music and nothing else.
I'll have to say, you're hitting the nail on the head. My son's a massive fan of the DK rap in this household as well. But
how old is he?
So he's 5.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I need I say anymore. Yeah. I've got to say, like I said before, I love the little kids have got that. Just that. There's no cool filters. Like they just like it, they don't like it. I like that. It's just that really pure way of looking at stuff.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, it's something that is sung about the house all the time. Like, just and you've got the movie to thank for that as well, because he's not played the game. He's too young, but he's that's why he's pure buzzing for Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, that's his reference point to it.
Right.
You know, so in this household, at least, you know, you are his reference point for Donkey Kong. So yeah, he absolutely loves it. But one last question for you today, Grant. You know, what is one thing you would say to every parent out there, you know, trying to balance creativity, work and family?
That is hard because, like, you know, you see people, follow your dream. You know, I don't really adhere to that advice because sometimes your circumstances don't let you do that. You've got to make money to work for your family, right? It's got to come first. I think once you commit to having a kid, then everything changes, right? Because you no longer just care about you and your missus or you by yourself. You've got somebody else that's completely helpless that lives for you, that you have to look after, and so you have to do whatever that takes to make sure that kid eats or whatever, or has a house to live in or shit like that. So I don't think I think the whole follow your dreams bit ends at that moment because you've decided to do that. If you didn't do it, fair enough. But I decided to have kids. You can't continue in the way you were. You just can't. You've got a responsibility now. So that's the way it changes. I think. When I had kids, I was still at Rare, so I got a steady job and all the rest of it. So it's a bit when we moved over here and switched into freelance. That was like a big like, is this going to work? It could easily have not. It could easily still not from this day. It's not like I'm, freelance is freelance, right? Mm. So I do feel like if I have to go and work in Target, I'll have to go and work in Target, and that's it. If my career stops tomorrow, I can't just go, oh, well, that's it, tough. I'll have to go and find something else to do, whatever that is, And all the gamer like me, what am I going to do? I don't quite know. I think Target's probably the only, or Walmart is the only solution, really. But that's what you have to do, right? Or Uber or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you've got to, that's it. Once you've committed to that thing, having that kid or whatever, that child, you've got to make money in order for them to live. So that's tough. And if it means your composing career goes out the window, then that's the way it goes.
Wise words indeed.
Depressing, but wise.
It's true. It's true.
But the honesty is refreshing, though, and I think sometimes you need to hear that. And we talk about it all the time. Like we have day jobs outside of doing this as well. Like we can't just drop everything saying we're pursuing podcasting careers because, like it says, you got mouths to feed. Something that just has to come first over everything, doesn't it?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I just think that's all you can do. You have to do. Once you make that commitment, that's it. You can't rub it out. You've got to do whatever it just to get on there. So and also like I don't like the whole ego side of this business that I'm in. I don't like it. I'm living here. You meet people who've got that thing, and I'll never be like that. I'm no different to anybody else. To the bloke who cuts the grass, to the bloke who works in the factory. That's his job. This is mine, right? We just have to. This is how we make money. So. And I never drink my own Kool-Aid. I don't like that. I think that's crap. So I just think, what makes me different from anybody else? Nothing, right? So just be like everybody else. Why not? Why can't it just be nice? And I don't have that shite going on with all that nonsense. I don't like it. So just, I don't care about that. I don't care. I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah.
Just be honest. I know Noel Gallagher's a superstar, but I do like it when he does interviews because he just says it, because he's so rich, he doesn't give a shit now. But he just tells it like it is, And I like. It's not often you see, superstars give it like that. Not often. They've got a kind of a shield up, So someone like him and even Liam Gallagher just tells it like it is. I was never really a big fan of Oasis. But I like the mantra of this is how it is, like it'll be, And I really like that. I like people just talking like that. Like that interview with Noel Gallagher when he's at Coachella. It's on YouTube somewhere a few years ago. It's a great interview. He just says, I just say what I like it. I've got no PR person going, don't say that. I'm going to say it. I'm going to tough luck. You don't like it? Hard luck. This is how it's going to be. And so I feel like I like that. So I think that just tell it like it is, right?
Yeah. No. Wise words indeed, Grant. Wise words indeed. True man of the people. I think that's what we can say.
Equally, I kind of feel like I could be talking absolute garbage. Don't get me wrong, but it's what I think.
Listen, every week we have made a habit of talking garbage.
Yes. Me especially. So.
Yeah, but I think people appreciate knowing what it's really like for you in your life. I like watching interviews with people who just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
I want to hear the problems and the mess you get into. And, I like seeing people say, I was down at my luck, I'm down to my last 10 books, whatever. And then it just takes one yes to change your life, right? Yeah. It really does. It's just one yes. You could be scrabbling around, having a completely crap time with it, and one yes just goes, Jesus Christ, everything's changed. So, I like hearing those stories where people are absolutely down on the luck, and then they just didn't give up, and lo and behold, something came around the corner. It might not always come around the corner, but you never know, do you?
No, so you just got to try. And just keep on keeping on. That's it. But, that's all the questions we had for you, Grant. It's been an absolute joy having you on this show. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Hearing all these stories about the soundtracks, the creative process, how everything weaves into it all. Honestly, it's been a real privilege. So before
I've got my little thing here. Look, I can see that little.
That's it. On to Scotland and America. That's it.
Aye, that's me.
For our audio listeners. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug, shout out, or leave our listeners with at all?
So I've just done my first ever VR game for a guy, my friend of mine called Michael Kaywood. Mike was on the Cameo team in Rare, so he was a Rare guy. He moved to the USA before I did, and became it's called the Previs Supervisor. So that's when you do the pre-visuals in the big movies, so what's it going to look like, they kind of draw it out and shit like that. So he's worked on like Planet of the Apes and giant stuff like that. But him and his missus, his wife, just done the first VR game together, and it's called the Phoenix Gene. So that's, as I say, I've never done a VR game before. That was cool. So that's just come out. What else am I doing? I've got an indie movie coming out, I think, this year, when I finally get finished with it. I'm doing something else. Oh, yes, the guys that did the Mario Rabbids games, the core team quit Ubisoft, and I've got their own company now called Day for Night Studios. So I'm working on their game right now, and I've got to say, I think it's great. Davide Soliani is a creative director, who's a great director of Mario Rabbids. It's so inventive. Like the fact he came up with the whole gun thing for the Mario games, like that's just amazing, right? So he's come up with this thing. I just think it's brilliant. So working on that too. So two more games, you can't really talk about what you're doing really. So, but I can say I'm doing that. So,
Awesome.
I'm on Twitter and all the rest of it, so you'll see me. If you want to find out what I'm doing, I tell a lie. So me and Dave Wise, Kevin Bayliss, who's the art director at Rare, and David Doak, who's Dr. Doak and GoldenEye, of course. Mm-hmm. We've got a band together called Video Games Rock. So we've done gigs here and there. So it's hard to get people together to do gigs. We've got a gig in Norway coming up next month, and we've got a gig in Switzerland coming up. I think it's October. Mm-hmm. So you want to come see us play out? Me and Dave play our video games tune. We just play Banjo-Kazooie and DK and all the rest of it for a laugh. So and Kev does a bit of vocal, and Dave Doak plays bass. We've got another guitar player, Phil, and a drummer, Nige. And so we've got the full band thing. So we're just we're trying to do more of that because it's a good laugh. It's just getting hard to put it together. But we've got 2 gigs coming up. So if you're in Norway or Switzerland, come and see us.
Awesome, man. I wish I could go. That sounds like a good laugh.
Well, yeah, it's a good laugh for the bum notes we play, but yeah, that.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, thanks again, Grant. This has been, honestly, a true honour just having you join us today. Doors always open here at Pixel Parents. You're welcome back anytime, sir.
Just have to ask me. Anything for Scotland. Anything.
Awesome. We're going to play that card again.
Yeah, we will do.
You can play it as many times as you like.
Thanks very much.
Well, anyway, I think it's time then to hand us back to me and Scott, so over to us. And we are back. So yeah, Scott, through the wonders of technology, we're back. That was great.
The internet has dragged us through time, and we've gone back in time and now back forward. I realised that in that episode it was lighter outside, so it's not quite as shiny, and also I have more hair, which is hilarious. But Liam did say, for continuity reasons, wear the same t-shirt, and I am. I'm wearing it. I'm doing the job. I'm doing the damn thing for YouTube. But it was great. Less about me. It was damn interesting talking to him. It all came together very quickly, but and there wasn't enough time to be nervous to get into it. But what a really interesting man.
Yeah, absolutely, and lovely, might I say as well.
Yeah,
100%. I love the enthusiasm and passion for what you're doing. It's just, it was infectious, and yeah. I could listen to him all day, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. Yeah, it could have been like an in conversation with him, and it would have been like, you know what, I'd listen to it. I would listen to it again. You know what I mean? Go back and listen to it. Go and do it. I just enjoyed how candid he was, just speaking about his process, and I've come away from it being like, I could make music for games. I can't, but I could do it.
I mean, I think our producer and music man, Mr. Sean Murray, and we've played in some bands through the years, still are actually to this day, and listening to Grant talk about that creative process, just kind of like it's like a job, you you do your 9 to 5, write stuff, even if it's shite and all that, and I'm like, wow, like I was kind of half expecting him to, as you would, like a composer type, to be like, I sit there and I will just I will paint, I will do all this stuff and wait for the inspiration to take me, and the fact that wasn't the case was really refreshing. And also, it's just that I appreciate his continued love for Scotland. True Scotsman at heart.
I mean, it bleeds blue, which is lovely to see.
That's it.
And if anyone else wants to speak to him, just say you're Scottish, and you'll get that.
Well, do you know, I'd love to have him on the show
I would
again.
love
Maybe
to,
we'll see
yeah.
him down the road again, because he's always welcome here. But I think we should move on, Scott, to our next segment and close things off this week, and what is a very momentous episode for us. But that brings us, of course, to the next segment, which is, of course, the Pixel Parents, or the Pixel Pick Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend and pass on to the next generation of gamers. Now, last week's theme was Best Rewarding Game, with Elden Ring becoming the latest addition to that list. And in this week's showdown, we're going to be debating what best rhythm game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. It felt apt after speaking with Grant Scott. So, as always, last week's winner goes last, which for the life of me, I can't remember who it was.
It's you. It's me. I go first.
You
I can
go
never
first
remember. I never understand how you say that, but I know when I have to go, because you picked Elden Ring.
Years into this show, still can't figure it out.
68 episodes in and still don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? But we'll get there with it. It really made me think, this one, because I played a lot of rhythm games in the past, and I really wanted to take my time and actually think about it. But first thought, obviously, is with like Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff like that. That's an easy one. And then I could go down that route, but I didn't want to. I wanted to pick something that I don't think anyone will pick. I don't think you'll pick it.
I know what you're going to pick. I'm excited.
No, I don't think you are.
Smack this down.
I don't think you're excited at all. Another game that I wanted to just make mention of was obviously Hi-Fi Rush as well.
Oh yeah, good shout. Yeah.
That might be the honourable mention for this week.
Is it?
A game
Is
that
it?
Yeah. Let's just say it is.
Okay.
So my honourable mention for this week is obviously Hi-Fi Rush, just because it deserves its flowers. And we're talking about Xbox being bad, so Hi-Fi Rush is excellent in terms of surviving all that nonsense. But my choice for this week is actually a game that I've played for many hours on my Nintendo Switch. Played it on PlayStation 5, and I don't think I've ever beaten the first level in it. I've played it so much that it is absolutely disgusting that is the case. But my game for this week, and I'm quite happy with my choice here, is Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Oh right, okay.
I think that the sort of marriage between your movement is tied to the actual movement, and the rhythm of the actual song itself is an excellent tool and an excellent mechanic and stuff as well. You step forward, move with the music. Strike an enemy, you move with the music. You have to do it on beat. If you miss the beat, you lose your turn, and that means that obviously then enemies can get the jump on you and stuff as well. And it's that pressure that I think has led to me never finishing this game, because it's like, oh man, as soon as I miss one beat, I'm like, oh well, throw it in the bin. I don't ever want to play this ever again. But the music changes, you know what I mean? Like you're playing musical chess. Like the pieces move as you move, and it's just like you go forward, you go back, you go forward, you go back. You might go that way, you go that way. It's class. But I think it's just the whole roguelike element of it, that everything's randomly generated, so the dungeons change. None of the runs feel the exact same. And permadeath. When you die, and you start all over again. And that is the most frustrating thing on earth, is that you feel that you've lost all your progress. But the one thing about rhythm games, Liam, and it's something that we were talking about Guitar Hero, it's very easy to call it out if you're playing different games, that it really relies on the soundtrack that's attached to it. And this soundtrack, I wanted to give it its flowers as well. So Darren Baranowski, I believe, who is known for Super Meat Boy, was the one who done this soundtrack, and it is excellent. Even playing the same level over and over and over again, fantastic, man. Like I have to give it its flowers. I don't think it's going to be the winner this week, because I think you'll pick something that's really obvious that I haven't thought of. Guitar Hero Metallica or something like that. But
Aerosmith.
Yeah, oh god, did anyone play it? Same with Guitar Hero Van Halen. Like,
They
I mean,
did.
it's great, but is that the one you're going for? But yeah, Crypt of the Necrodancer and Hi-Fi Rush deserve their wee moments in the sun, and I'm quite happy with it. I never played the one. What was that? The Zelda one. There was a Crypt of the Necrodancer Zelda crossover.
I didn't. I'm not familiar. It was not on my radar at all, so it's just went and bypassed me.
Necrodancer. I'm going to find out. Give me a minute. Zelda. Cadence of Hyrule. It was. So they made
of course.
They made that, and I think it's more to do with the actual sort of like Zelda and stuff like that as well, which very interesting.
No, yeah, actually, I remember seeing that now. I didn't actually realise it was a rhythm game. Didn't play it at all though. It's one of those ones I never see these kind of Zelda spin-off types. I'm like, that looks cool during the direct and never think about it again. It's a bit like is it Hyrule Warriors as well?
Yes, yeah.
And I convince myself I'm going to buy and play it every time, and then I never do.
I'd actually be keen to check out that Cadence of Hyrule, to be honest with you. Looking at screenshots of it and things like that, I'm like, well, actually, that looks pretty cool.
Do it for science, for the show.
For science. I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
That's it. That's what I like to hear. Well, I'll move on to mine, shall I? I could, you could pick games, we've mentioned it before, like Sekiro as a rhythm game, Batman Arkham games, rhythm game. Sometimes when you go into Greg's and you see all these fancy ones, and they might be pastries, it could be a chicken katsu bake or something like that, and it's like, yeah, they're in the house, they're in the store, they are a pastry. Sometimes you just got to stick to the classics, and sometimes you just got to pick the sausage roll or the steak bake, Scott. And that's what I'm doing this week, because I'm going for the win. I'm going for the crowd pleaser here. I'm going for the sausage roll pick and also a steak bake. So I'm starving now. My honourable mention this week has to go to the Beatles rock band. It really does, because it was the ultimate Beatles experience next to listening to the albums themselves. From the art style to the song selection in the game, there's so much love, care and attention, working with the families as well. It was just absolutely perfect. It was just, there's nothing better than when you see an IP in the hands of developers that really do treasure it and they get it. And in this case, the Beatles as an IP, I suppose, they totally nailed it. And I played this, like many of us, endlessly. I bought the full band kit after purchasing the game on its own using like my Guitar Hero controller. I thought, nope, I want that Hofner bass controller, I want the Ringo drums, I want the whole thing. And to this day, the most fun I've ever had in any one of these games playing bass and expert. That's it. And that's not a flex, because I also did the drums in expert, but it's not the hardest. But it was just so fun, because I feel like the actual rhythm, the placement of everything, they got it so well, and it did actually kind of make you feel like you're playing the songs. A lot of these songs will fit. Most of them I can play on the bass guitar, the drums as well, so it didn't feel too dissimilar. It just felt a lot easier because I didn't have to move my hand up and down.
Also loved the videos accompaniments of it as well. It wasn't like a Guitar Hero where you just watched characters sing on stage. Is that they all had their like wee music videos and stuff like that in the Beatles rock band. It was great.
It was superb, and it feel like a living, breathing music video / journey through their career.
Yeah.
7 years of absolute greatness, and yeah, it was an absolute must for me for an honourable mention. Almost made it as my pick, but for me, my pick this week has to be Guitar Hero 3, not Aerosmith, which, side note, I did rush out and buy that game and I loved it. But Guitar Hero 3, for me, I could choose others. You could pick any other ones, but I feel that 3 is when the series went proper supernova, and it's because the soundtrack was so balanced, with a particular sway towards that classic rock flavour, I would say. So once here, Barracuda, Cult of Personality, Even Flow, Cliffs of Dover, Black Magic Woman, Pride and Joy, Rain and Blood, what else? Before I Forget by Slipknot, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss.
I was going to say, don't miss out Rock and Roll All Night, please.
Even had like Slow Ride and Sabotage. It was like, it had that perfect like catalogue.
There is literally nothing better than Slow Ride. Like, see, playing Slow Ride on the easiest difficulty. I could watch people do that forever. It was great.
It's just like all those belters cater to everybody in your party. because that's what it was. It was this party rhythm game. And, you know, there's a reason I feel that this one inspired the arcade version that you still see out there. We saw it in that MQ64 in Glasgow last year. And I still feel like it was the best all-rounder in terms of the gameplay, the rhythm gameplay itself. It's very much, it was the best because it was still this case of being simple. It was just you, the guitar controller, hitting the notes at the right time and getting combos before they started to kind of add and layer on the drums, the bass and the singing, and then they started to look for more gimmicks. I felt like Guitar Hero 3 was it in its simplest and purest form. And as a rhythm game, I mean, it's as simple as, you know, just when it's there, hit the thing. You just got to stay in rhythm. That's it. You don't have to know the notes. You don't have to be musical. It's almost just dance with your hands, and that's you. You're away you go. And it can be as hard or as easy as you like. And yeah, that's why it has to be my pick this week, Scott. So
I don't think I could. I honestly don't think I could, argue against it. I have so much love in my heart for Guitar Hero that I can't even deny. Like if I could have, a monkey's paw, and wish, I would wish for Guitar Hero just to come back and have never left. Yeah, exactly. Like it is outrageous how much I played Guitar Hero when I was younger, and I always liked, my favourite one, out with Guitar Hero 3, I always liked Warriors of Rock, because I think that was a bit heavier as sort of later down the line. And obviously you had Guitar Hero Metallica and stuff like that as well, where we spoke about the Metal Awakening with with Grant earlier, but this was part of my Metal Awakening in terms of when I actually started listening to all these songs. So yeah, big ups to Guitar Hero, because it needs to come back. Like, burn every single Guitar Hero live controller ever made and just bring back basic bitch ass Guitar Hero, and the people will lap it up. And you know what? Kind of pinning that, get it out of Fortnite. Like, let's stop playing fucking Sabrina Carpenter songs and Guitar Hero. Let's just get it back to its roots and good songs. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, Sabrina Carpenter fans, but
listen, it's all I will talk about with my colleagues in work is the absolute state of some of the modern music out there. But I'm learning things. I'm learning about artists I didn't know were even a thing. But yeah, I'm just an old fart. But we were talking about that, how instruments and that are dying out. Grant mentioned that there's no melody out there anymore, and I agree. It's sad, but when it comes to rhythm games, if you were going to give me a candidate for the next type of IP that should get the Tony Hawk's 3+4 treatment, Guitar Hero's there. The only downside is it's in the hands of Xbox, so they'll probably start the project and can it and sack everybody that was putting all their work into it, let's face it, because they're just
the worst
cash grabbing ghouls these days.
The worst people on earth.
Well, are we in agreement then? So Guitar Hero 3?
100%. I would even have just accepted Guitar Hero as a franchise, to be honest with you, because I have love for a lot of those games, man. Even the terrible versions on the PlayStation 2 and all. Still got a lot of love in my heart for those. Playing Freebird on that white controller, take me back, man.
I mean,
simpler times.
It was, and that was the beauty of it. Who knows? Maybe we'll see it one day.
I remember consoling myself when Rangers lost in the UEFA Cup final to Zenit St. Petersburg by playing Guitar Hero. It's like, I remember leaving it being pure, crying, real salty tears.
Oh man, I've got some stories about that night for you. We'll share with you. But yeah, no, congratulations to Guitar Hero 3. You are the next entrant on the Pixel Picks list as our best rhythm game. And that brings us to an end of this week's podcast. So thank you once again for joining us, and remember to support small independent games media out there. So if you like what you hear and enjoyed the podcast, please share this on social media, tell your friends about us, leave a wee 5-star review, and of course like and subscribe to this channel. It all helps us out and it makes a massive difference. Scott, it's test time, so where can people find you online if they wish to engage with you or just chat more about that night in 2008?
Please don't. I mean, if you're watching us now, you can see me right there. Lamaman.bsky.social. Don't come and follow me, because I don't want you to. If you're listening to it, then you already know llamaman.bsky.social. That's llamaman.bsky.social.
Well, of course, yeah, you can follow myself on Blue Sky. Please feel free to. I'm always happy to see new friends on there. It's just such a Blue Sky's amazing. Just in terms of, it's easy to take for granted the good times just now before things get overly monetised and all the roaming's coming. But if you want to follow me on there and just talk about games, food, anything else in between, I am at carmelite.bsky.social. And can't miss him out, but a massive, massive thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray. Go show him some love. Check out his work on Instagram at barehandsdesigns and barehandsdesigns.com. The animations that you see at the start of this show was all done by him, by hand, and he has put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into that, as he does every week with the production of this show. So big, nasty love to Sean. Send him everything there, please, folks. Go follow him.
Nastiest, dirty love that anyone has ever heard and
Indeed.
seen. There should also be a wee graphic that pops up every single time we mention his name. So just a wee face just pops up on the screen so people can see who he is.
Yeah.
But, you know, he is the best of us. I think we've said this already, Liam, that, you know, you have the members of the band that carry the whole thing. And, you know, I feel a wee bit like the roadie that shows up and you know, I'm Toadfish in Neighbours. That I'm not the main attraction, but, you know, people like me. And you're the Carol... What was his name? The Carpenters? Not Carpenters. What was his name again?
Do you talk about Dr. Carroll?
Dr. Carroll. What was his name?
I don't know. I just remember he was married to Susan.
He was married to Susan, right? They had them, but Sean is Lou. Remember Lou, the old guy, Lou with the white hair? That's him. He's him in Neighbours.
I was glad you said that wasn't Harold.
Weird tangent. I can't talk about Harold because when Madge died, it still hurts to this day. Like, Harold Bishop watching Madge die still haunts me to this moment of my life.
I'm blaming this in Death Stranding too, just being in Australia. We're doing what Neighbours should be doing, is reconnecting Australia.
It is ridiculous. Like, I've never thought more about, you know, Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue more in my life. I've never said the word struth more than ever before. It is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, there you go. But he is the best of us. Thank you so much, Sean. And yeah, you know what to do, people. Go give him a follow. Would appreciate that. But if you like what you heard here today, you can listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms, and of course follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. And for the first time, my pleasure to say, you can also catch us on YouTube at Pixel Parents Podcast. So come hang out with us there, and you'll see much more of us down the line. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Long live Harold Bishop.